One, two, three, four.
I love all my friends. I love all my friends. I'm parking the car, turning off the lights.
Hello, you're listening to the Skylight Books podcast series. We are a general interest independent bookstore located in the Los Feliz neighborhood of Los Angeles, California. This year, because of the coronavirus pandemic, we've had to close our store and cancel in-person events. But Skylight is your neighborhood bookstore, and we are finding ways to create community even while we're far apart. In the coming weeks, we'll be putting out lots of new audio content to help you discover new books, connect with authors, and check in with your favorite booksellers. To learn more about how you can help keep Skylight alive, please visit our website at skylightbooks.com or check out our social media accounts on Twitter and Instagram. You can subscribe to the podcast on Podbean, iTunes, and Spotify. Thank you for listening and enjoy.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Handsell series of the Skylight Books podcast. This is your podcast producer and co-host, Mick Kowaleski, along with my co-host,
Maddie Gobbo, events manager. Hello.
Hello. Welcome back. We made some headlines this week, Maddie.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's a viral sensation occurred around Skylight Books, which is that the professional handsome person, Chris Pine, was photographed leaving our store wearing a mask, holding a big ass bag of books.
Oh,
That you
bless
just
his heart.
purchased. Yeah, and of course, the internet went wild for that. A hot man who reads and protects himself and others. Shocking.
Yeah, amazing. He won the Chris Wars with a single photo. The shot heard around the world.
Yeah, Chris Evans has 48 hours to respond.
Chris Hemsworth, even less time. Chris Pratt, we don't even want to hear from you.
We've given up on Chris Pratt at this point.
Yeah, exactly. But for a second.
I do want to give a little bit of insider goss on that photo for those of you who are listening, because you're our treasured and valued podcast listeners and you get extra special treats.
Yes, dish the hot goss.
So I was not there at the store when he came in, but he is a regular customer at Skylight. I have sold books to him before. He has good taste. I can't tell you what he bought because of privacy concerns.
That's like a inside baseball. We don't do that. We don't do
that's the bookseller code. We do not.
Yes.
We do not snitch.
Exactly.
But he does actually seem to really read books that aren't just, self-help or acting guides or things like that. He's out here reading fiction in 2020 as a very rich actor. So he's doing a little extra work. So he gets credit for that. He also has a very cute dog, which I have pet. And so the story from the booksellers who were there in the store last weekend was that Chris had been coming in quite a lot the week before. He was kind of dipping in a lot, probably stocking up in anticipation of perhaps another shutdown. And he came by on a Saturday and he was not wearing a mask. And our door person very gently turned him away, and he came back wearing a mask because he's a good boy who follows rules.
Right. Yes. We don't want to shame him for not wearing the mask because that's not the crime. The crime is not listening when we tell you that you have to wear a mask.
Yes. If you listen, we love you. We're fans.
Exactly. So biggest fans of Chris Pine right now for all that he did.
Yes. He's learning. He's growing. We support it. And the same extends to all of you. Again, I sort of feel like if you are the kind of person listening to a book selling podcast on your free time, you're probably pretty conscientious. You probably care about the health and safety of your booksellers, and you probably already are wearing a mask. But we just want to reiterate, if you come to our store, please wear a mask. There is no good way to protect ourselves right now except for masks and social distancing. So we just hope that everybody is on board for that, because otherwise we're going to have to kick you out and you can't buy your books.
Right.
Sorry.
Look, yeah, if we're not going to let Chris Pine glow in the store without a mask, like, you're not going to. Like, like that's, that we made him cover up his beautiful face, and he was very gracious and very kind in doing so. You're not going to get any better treatment than that. So,
yeah. Plus, he looked pretty hot in the mask too. Like,
yeah,
it makes the baby blues pop even more.
Absolutely.
So, something to consider, gentlemen.
Cover up the lower half, make your eyes pop.
Yeah.
Big tip from Maddie today. This is, maybe I'll malign, but is there any word about us shutting down yet?
No. We are still open for in-store browsing. But all the safety restrictions are still in place. So, wear your mask, keep a social distance, try to sanitize your hands when you come in and when you leave the store. We have hand sanitizer right by the register. Try to limit your visit to 30 minutes or less. Don't touch books that you aren't going to buy if you can help it. Yeah, so that's kind of where we're at right now. But our managers are keeping a close eye on the state guidelines, and if anything changes, we'll of course announce it on social media and let everybody know.
Perfect. And before we get to what we're reading, because I really want to hear about what you're reading, we've got a pretty cool interview later this episode. You want to talk about that a little bit? Yeah.
So I'd been trained to land an interview with the librarians on the LA Public Library Street Fleet team for a couple of weeks, and I persisted and I got through, and I'm so excited for this one, because it's like one of the most awesome things a library can do, and libraries can do so many awesome things. I love talking to librarians because they are, of course, they have a wealth of knowledge, and they love to share it with you. So every time I talk to a librarian, I learn like 1,000 new things. And I think this interview kind of holds true to that. Jennifer Siron is the interview subject. She is the director of outreach and engagement. I think I'm going to get that wrong. So I introduce her correctly in the actual interview. So please listen to that for her full bio.
Yes, the engagement and outreach department, and also the engagement and learning division at the LAPL.
Thank you, Mick. Jennifer very kindly talked to me in great detail about all of the really wonderful initiatives that the library has been doing to bring their services to people, even though the libraries are closed right now. And the Street Fleet is kind of the flashiest and coolest one, where they drive around in these colorful vans delivering free books to COVID-19 emergency shelters for unhoused people, and bringing sort of job services and internet access and all kinds of really cool stuff. So you can hear more about that in our interview. You may also hear in the background Jennifer's child making some noises. As, again, in the time of COVID, we're all adapting. Children are not adapting. They do not understand what's going on. And Jennifer was extremely patient and stuck with it, and we got the interview done. So really grateful to have had the chance to talk to her.
Awesome. So we'll look forward to that later, and hopefully the listeners will learn 1,000 new things along with you during that conversation. But before we get to that, Maddie, what you been reading? I know we've been actually out of the game. This is our first episode in like a week or two.
Yeah.
What have you been up to in the meantime?
Yeah, I finished The Real Housewives, so I'm reading books again, which is really great. I'm proud of myself. I just read this really cool sort of nonfiction hybrid book called Stages by Rachel Cowder Nalabuff. And it's this fantastic project. So Rachel's a playwright and a performance artist, and the project is kind of all focused around elder care, nursing homes, and kind of end-of-life practices in the US. And Rachel goes around interviewing different people who work in nursing homes, kind of talking about how we care for our elders and or how we don't care for them, and who then has to take up the burden of caring for them and why they do it. There's a lot of just really beautiful kind of meditations about how we could rethink that relationship and how we could rethink, our preparations for letting people pass on. I was just like totally blown away by this book. Like it was so humane and so moving, and like really something I needed to read in the midst of a pretty difficult couple of weeks. So I highly recommend it. We're going to be doing a lot of event stuff with Rachel coming up. So we're doing a podcast episode with her and the playwright Sarah Rule, which should be amazing. And then we're going to do some special sort of Instagram content to highlight some of the really great interviews that she did with these nursing home staff. It's like one of the coolest things I've encountered in the last year. And then I've kind of followed it up with another really interesting kind of multivocal novel. This time I'm reading Women Talking by Miriam Tews, which is about this remote community of Mennonites. And the women have been kind of experiencing these blackouts and waking up bruised and bleeding and not understanding what's going on. And it comes to light that a group of men from their same community have been drugging and raping them. And the book itself is not about the kind of the horrifying aspects of that, so much as it is about the women gathering together in a hayloft and kind of trying to talk through what has happened to them and what it might mean to either forgive these men or not forgive them, and whether they should kind of stay in their remote community or whether they should leave. And it's really just a super powerful, breathtaking book. I'm not finished with it yet. I can only read it kind of in short bursts because it feels there's like just such a concentration of feeling and ideas in it and in these women's conversations. And highly recommend. I know it was a big favorite of other Skylight booksellers in the last year, and I finally picked it up, and I'm so glad I did.
Sounds great.
Mick, what have you been reading?
I'm still working on Beloved. It is a book that I am happy to take my time with. I try and finish a book a week. This one is definitely something that I like to sit with after a chapter or two. So what I'm going to talk about today are two musical artists that I've gotten super into, two albums, two projects in particular, because I've been like out of music for months. It's like not felt like appropriate to listen to music. I've just kind of like wanted to stay quiet for a little bit. But Jessie Ware, the English singer-songwriter, just dropped a new album called What's Your Pleasure? And it is incredibly like disco infused and funky and amazing, and it just makes me want to dance all the time. So I've been basically bouncing between that and LA musician Remy Wolf's new EP, I'm Allergic to Dogs, which is also, if you're like not dancing within like 14 seconds of that song, then something might be wrong with like your hips. You might want to get that checked out. So if you've been feeling a little like down and you need something to like pick you up and get you like moving again, Jessie Ware and Remy Wolf, please go listen to them, because they've cheered me up almost like single-handedly over the past week. And also, read Beloved. That's not really going to cheer you up, but it's going to feed your soul. So, all right, Maddie, thanks for talking to me. And we will hear from you in a couple seconds. So till I speak to you again next week, Take care.
Adios. Hello, listeners. Welcome back to the Handsell Skylight Books book-selling podcast. I'm your host, Maddie Gobbo. I'm the events manager here at Skylight Books. I'm so excited today because we have the local library here to talk to us. We're working on this fantastic Indiegogo campaign. Maybe some of you have seen it. Where we are raising money to purchase new books for donation to readers in need all across LA. Our partners for that project are the Punk Rock Marthas, who are distributing books to local schools, and Los Angeles Public Library Street Fleet team, who are distributing books to emergency COVID-19 shelters across the city for unhoused people. So today we are delighted to welcome Jennifer Siron on. Jennifer Siron is the Senior Librarian in Engagement and Outreach, part of the Engagement and Learning Division at the Los Angeles Public Library, which operates out of the Central Branch. Jennifer, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Maddie. It's such a pleasure to be here.
I'm just thrilled because every time I talk to a librarian, I learn about 1,000 new things that the library can do. So yeah, I can't wait to get into this with you. Before we get started, I just wanted to again plug our Indiegogo campaign. You can find it at indiegogo.com/help-the-skylight-books-community. That's the URL. We'll put it in the link to the episode so you can click it and you don't have to type it all in. But we're going to learn more about the Street Fleet program today from Jennifer, and we're also going to learn about her role as a librarian and engagement and outreach coordinator. She's also going to tell us about how the LA Public Library is adapting to the time of COVID and how they're kind of serving our community in all these new ways. And they have a lot of ways. So yeah, the library does so much good work. All right, Jennifer, can you tell us a little bit about your role as a librarian and kind of how you got into working for the library?
So I knew I wanted to be a librarian when I turned 18. Or not when I turned 18, but when I was 18. I started out as a teen volunteer. I took a job as a messenger clerk, which are the people in the library who shelve the books and keep it all in order so our wonderful community of patrons can find the books that they need. And from there, I became a young adult librarian, all at the same branch, actually, the Chatsworth Branch Library in the San Fernando Valley. So it was nice to grow up in a community and start giving back to that community. Just seeing how the librarians I worked with were just so generous with their time, doing readers advisory. Doing readers advisory to me, they've turned me on to so many cozy mystery books, a lot of high fantasy children's and young adult books. I learned to bake from the Philadelphia cookbook because of the library. So I have such a soft spot for the library. But for me, librarianship and working at the library wasn't just about the books. It was, again, the interactions that they had. And, I knew that I wanted to be the type of librarian that wasn't necessarily quiet all the time, that was talkative, that wanted to talk books, that wanted to help people find the information that they need, point them in the right direction. So it's been a very fun journey going from teen volunteer all the way to now I'm a senior librarian, so I'm managing one of the departments in our wonderful Los Angeles Public Library system. So from here, though, in my department, I work with volunteers and outreach. Our volunteer group, it's like I said, I was a teen volunteer at the library, so they were the group that I had to fill out my paperwork, submit it, and make sure that we were in line with, all the city guidelines. We do some other fun stuff like recognizing our volunteers. But that we can save that for another day because we're here to talk about outreach. So outreach is a really dynamic group. I have two subgroups that I work with, or two subdepartments. One of them is bilingual outreach, and the other is the Street Fleet. Their ultimate goal really is to serve, the community of Los Angeles. And as a young adult librarian, I did a little bit of outreach. I did a little bit of volunteer supervising with other teen volunteers. So, when I was able to transfer to this department, it made sense because I loved going out to schools. I loved talking to the middle schoolers and the high schoolers. Sometimes we played a fun game where they had to guess how old I was. Because some administrators would think I'm a student and ask if I was tardy for class when I was on campus. Working with my teen volunteers, we work so close on a lot of civic engagement type projects, we participated in our local parades. So just knowing that I could, move to this engagement and outreach department and still work with volunteers and do outreach, which I love still, it just made sense for me to go here. And, we're doing great things.
Yeah, and one of the great things that your outreach department works on is the Street Fleet team, who are our partners on our crowdfunding campaign. Can you tell us or tell our listeners what the Street Fleet team is, and what the project's vision is?
So yes, the Street Fleet. Why we're here today, because the team that I work with, I have to say, they are amazing librarians and amazing clerks. Part of our vision is for the Street Fleet to deliver community-based services, information, and technology to entertain, enlighten, and empower the diverse communities within the city of Los Angeles. And our hope is that by 2025, our Street Fleet will connect with all these communities and include those that are unaware of all of our resources and those who cannot visit the library. Some of our services are targeted towards reentry programs, resources for job seekers, stable living, test and college prep, technology and e-media, citizenship-related services, literacy and education for early learners to adults, and volunteer opportunities. We hope Angelinos will discover and explore the community and the library through storytelling, demonstrations, technology, and information sharing with the Street Fleet. I will say that, our initial launch was supposed to happen sometime in March, like probably a week after we were, told to stay safer at home. And, we had to switch gears and, while we are, delivering community-based services still, I think it's pivoted to something even more phenomenal. And I couldn't have expected or wished for a better, sort of maiden voyage or maiden launch to get our name out there. Because now we're here partnering with Skylight Books.
Yeah, so in terms of what the Street Fleet is doing right now, they are driving around in vans full of books that have been donated by community members, local businesses like Skylight, other places like that, and they are delivering those books to emergency shelters for unhoused people all over the city. Is that right?
Yes. So we were given approvals from our administration and the Administration for Recreation and Parks to deliver books to the people who are experiencing homelessness that were at the shelter sites. We were able to reach 24 sites and deliver over 1,200 books. We also pivoted from books, and we wanted to give them access to our online resources. And so we were able to create courtesy cards for, the residents at the shelter sites and, give them access to all of our online resources because the shelter sites do offer Wi-Fi to them. So we thought, why not, expand their library experience? We did try to limit some of the books that the amount of books that we were delivering because, while these people are experiencing homelessness, we didn't want to increase the amount of items that their belongings in a sense. And we also, wanted to make sure everyone was being safe. So, before we made the donations, we made sure, the books books were isolated, and then we handed them off while we were protected, and the workers at the shelter sites accepted them for us. We only donated the amount of books per the amount of beds that were at the site, so there wasn't a huge amount of books that were donated, and mostly because it was thought out, because again, the more items they have, the more chances of spreading, and we didn't want to do that. So we were very thoughtful and mindful of that, and because we couldn't continue donating books on a regular basis, because what would you do with those books after you've read them, which is why we thought the library card is really great. So they got the library cards and they got a book from us. Some of those community centers, they actually had their own little libraries in there. So when we went, it was just so amazing to hear some of the workers say, oh, they already have a library, they're already sharing. And it's like, okay, well, as long as they're sharing safely with each other, that's fine. Here are some books also to add to that collection or give to everyone there, because the books that we donated were for the residents to keep. We're not asking for them back. We're not, expecting them back in any way. They are for them to keep. And, some of the donations we provided were, gently used books and new books from Skylights and other people who donated to us. We have donated to other shelter sites and other organizations that have asked us to support them. So it's been really great working on that. And before we do any more donations or any more drop-offs, we are still maintaining that safety is our number one priority. So we are making sure we get the proper approvals that we need.
So this is all so great, and I really admire the Street Fleet's willingness to pivot their mission in this very wild time. I'd love to hear kind of what responses the Street Fleet team has received from the community, and how people are reacting to this program.
So the response we've received has been amazing. We launched in April, I believe it was April 22nd. That was our maiden voyage to the East Valley. And we put it on social media. And since then, people have reached out to us asking how they can make more donations. I think part of the response is also this wonderful partnership we have with Skylight, because ever since when we launched, we were put in contact with them, and they wanted to help us out too with donations. And so individuals have been reaching out to us, wanting to know how they can participate, and also purchase books for this. Literary professionals, authors have been reaching out, either retweeting us or regramming us. We got a special donation from Leywin Pham, author and illustrator. She gave us so many books that we, so lovingly donated to another, organization that was in need. And it's wonderful that we were able to, basically find new homes for these books, get them in good hands, and to people who really, truly deserve, the opportunity to have access to new books, or just books, period. Internally too, in Los Angeles Public Library, our staff and other LA City staff have been reaching out to us and asking how else they can help and participate. And as I mentioned before, I also work with volunteering. People want to know how they can volunteer and donate their time to help us out too. So it's been an amazing response. We are short-staffed, so we're just trying to find ways to respond to everybody. But again, though, it's just been, such, so wonderful that we have the support. If you check out our Instagram, I believe it's at LAPL Street Fleet, you'll see we have pictures with Rec and Park. But, just local community members taking pictures with us, showing their support. Because as Maddie mentioned too, we did pivot from our original mission statement. Our vans are equipped with, with big screen TV, Apple TV. We have laptops. So there's so much more that our vehicle can do. But again, we are adapting to the current times. So, we do have the cargo space to make these deliveries or even do the pickups from, the people who are making the donations. So more on that much later then.
Yeah, and I love this program, especially as a response to COVID, because, what are you going to do in quarantine besides read? I think reading is the best way sort of to imagine yourself out of this and into something better. And it's just really powerful to offer that escape for people. So thank you for all of your work and your team's work putting this together. I think LA is much richer for it. I'd love to hear just kind of more generally how the public library has been adapting to the current moment and kind of how Angelenos can support you and turn out for your events and all that kind of stuff.
So while we're safer at home, the Los Angeles Public Library has been definitely adapting to this. And with your library card, you have access to Ask a Librarian. So if you have a question, our librarians can give you answers through email. You just visit LAPL.org. And you have access to a lot of online resources, books, audiobooks, comics through Hoopla or through Libby, or I believe it's Overdrive. Those are some of my favorite things. I'm constantly borrowing books and comics through there. You have access to movies through Hoopla, I believe, and even Canopy. So you can stream movies through there. You can download and stream music through Freegal. You have access to magazines and newspapers. So if you're trying to keep up to date with all the current events that's going on, and you don't have access to a subscription, you can access a lot of our magazines and newspapers through our databases. And you also have an opportunity to learn something new. So instead of just reading, why not learn a new language? Mango is one of my favorite, language learning platforms, online platforms. I'm constantly trying to learn Spanish and even my native language. And so there's just so much there so many things to do. You can boost your business skills or creative skills, learn a new hobby or something through a lot of these, online courses. And for family and for children, we have virtual story times that are going on. A lot of our branches, we have 72 branches and including our central library. So that's 73, institutions available, and all of our staff from those various locations, they have story times going on. A lot of them can be caught on YouTube. If you have students that are, in summer school, or you just want to help them prevent brain drain, tutor.com is available for free, between the hours of 11 a.m. and 9 p.m. What else is there? I mean, there's so many things that the library is offering, especially through online resources. And if you don't have a library card yet, LA city residents can get e-cards, and that will give you immediate access to all of our online resources. Again, visiting lapl.org. Another thing you can do too is participate in the Summer Reading Challenge. The theme this year is Get in the Game. So, our goal always is to just encourage people to read at least 20 minutes a day. It's a fun way to earn online points or online badges. You can even print and download a game board if you're used to the traditional going into the library branch and picking up a game board. Everything now is done virtually. So you can visit lapl.org/summer to find out more about that. And again, going to Ask a Librarian through our website is one way to just find out more information about that too. So yeah, lots of stuff to do, lots of things going on.
Yeah, that's such an amazing slate of options, and yeah, I totally encourage all of our listeners to get involved with the public library, take advantage of all of these services. It's really an incredible resource that we have here in the city, and you know, we're going to need the librarians more than ever. So yeah, I love hearing about all of this. Jennifer, is there anything else that you want to tell our listeners, or anything else you want to highlight before we say our goodbyes?
Well, I do have to say it's the Street Fleet and our team and just LAPL overall is not about just one person. It's the whole entire staff. Like, we are all out there, you know, doing the best that we can to help the Angelinos, you know, get through this time. And, you know, if you need help just finding those resources, that's what we're here for. You know, we want to be able to help you and point you in the right direction, to hopefully gain access to those resources. And, you know, and the library is going to be here for a while. You know, we are more than just a house of books, as one of my staff members always lovingly says. You know, our online resources have just, you know, I think are so phenomenal. You know, so I try to take advantage of that. And I encourage you all to, you know, just pop in through any social media platform to just say hi to us, you know, check in with us. Check out, you know, the Skylight Books Indiegogo page too. Anything you can do to just, you know, find your way to get involved, or just, you know, get involved for yourself, you know, learning a new language, learning something new, listening to a new book. And so, yeah, and again, thank your librarians, thank your library staff, because they are so amazing. And the Street Fleet staff, you know, if you ever see them on the road, you know, tell them hi.
Yeah, give a little beep of your horn,
Yeah.
and thank them for all the work they do.
Yeah.
Jennifer, thank you so much for being here today. This has been amazing, and I am so inspired by everything you and your team are doing. So thank you again. So much love for the library.
Thank you so much, Maddie. We really appreciate you thinking of us and, you know, inviting us to your podcast. And, you know, I hope we did your podcast justice today.
You absolutely did. And yeah, I think this will be a great way to get some more books donated to the Street Fleet. So let's keep on working together.
Looking forward to that. Thank you.
All right. Say goodbye here. Goodbye, Jennifer.
Bye, Maddie.
Thank you for listening to the Skylight Books podcast series. Please don't forget to visit our website at skylightbooks.com and make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Also, don't forget to subscribe to this podcast for more author talks and bookseller conversations. You can find us on Podbean, iTunes, and Spotify. Stay safe and healthy, and we hope to see you back in our store soon.